everybody, it's Dr. Jo and Sweet Remy, and today I'm going to show you my favorite stretches and exercises for hip pain. So let's get started.
Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert.
So for these stretches and exercises, I'm going to be doing them on a couch. You can do them on your bed, you can do them on your floor, whatever's most comfortable for you. Some of the stretches are a little bit better when you have more room. So when I'm lying down on the couch, I might have to kind of modify it a little bit because I won't have quite as much room. So get wherever you're most comfortable. We're going to start off lying down. I like to do stretches first just to loosen everything up, lengthen those muscles, and then do the exercises after everything is in a lengthened position. Some people might tell you different ways. That's just the way I like to do it. So we'll start off with the stretches. Lying down, we're going to start off with a wide leg trunk rotation. And so with trunk rotations, if you've seen before, you have your knees propped up together. Wide leg just means now you're going to stretch your feet or spread your feet out just a little bit, kind of past your hips. So it doesn't have to be super far, but the goal is to have your legs wide enough that when you rotate down, the knee on top will be able to rotate a little bit further, and that's going to get a great hip stretch. So with my feet just a little bit wider, now I'm just going to rotate them over to the side. So you can see that this side's going to be able to go a little bit farther than when they're traditionally together, where maybe you're trying to stretch your back. Now you're going to get your back and your hip with the wide leg trunk rotation. With this stretch, you're just going to hold it for 30 seconds and then do that 3 times on each side. Just for time, I'm going to show you one way, but if you want to follow along in real-time videos where I'm doing the whole routine, I have a whole lot of real-time videos, and you can click on the link up there for some of those. Coming back up and then stretching over to the other side. Again, 30 seconds, 3 times on each side. So then I'm going to sit up and go into a seated figure 4 stretch. So the figure 4 stretch, the reason it's called a figure 4 stretch is because it's kind of just like it sounds. When you bring your leg up, you're going to look down and your leg's going to be kind of in a figure 4 position. So if you can't quite get into this position here, what you can do to modify that a little bit is slide your foot down that it's propped up on and then be a little bit below the knee. If that's hard to get your leg up, you can also use a strap to kind of help pull it up. It just depends on how weak or how tight your hip is. But once you get into your comfortable position, so if it's down here, that's fine. If you need to bring it up here, that's fine as well. But get that figure 4 position, and the key is make sure you're coming forward, moving forward at your hips, not your back. A lot of times I'll see people do this. Oh, well, I'm not really feeling a stretch. Well, that's because you're not moving your hips to get that stretch in the hips. So keep your back as upright as you can, and then just lean forward at your hips. So see, I'm getting more of a stretch here down at my piriformis and my glutes than if I'm coming down like this, because it's all about your hip movement. So up tall, coming forward, hold that stretch for 30 seconds, and then doing that 3 times on each side just to get it nice and loosened up. The next stretch is going to be a hip flexor stretch, but we're going to do that hip flexor stretch kind of modified in a seated position. You might have seen some of my other videos where I'm just doing it in a full lunge position. That's fine to do if you don't have any knee issues, but a lot of times when you're doing in that full lunge position, so if I was off the bed, there's a lot of pressure on your knee. So if you're sitting like on the edge of your couch or in a chair and kind of sliding over like this helps take pressure off your knee, so it's just touching the floor, but it's not getting all that weight of your body through it. So this is a nice modification to do. You want to kind of get this is the side I'm stretching, so I'm turning towards the opposite side and getting that leg down. Even in this position, I can feel that there's a little bit of stretch in there because I always have a little bit of tight hip flexors. The foot going down or up doesn't matter too much. I feel like a lot of times with mine down, I'll get a better stretch. But the key with this is to make sure you go into what we call a posterior pelvic tilt. So that just means I'm rotating or tilting my pelvis backwards. So the top part goes back. What that does is that puts a stretch on that hip flexor, because that hip flexor comes all the way up and attaches to the spine. So when I'm doing this, when I'm rotating that pelvis, since it comes over the front of that, I'm already getting a stretch right here. You can place your hands on your knee right here just to bring your rib cage forward a little bit. As long as you're in that tilt, you're still going to get a good stretch. If I'm just leaning forward like this, that took the stretch off of it. So it's really important to get that posterior pelvic tilt, and then you can lean forward a little bit more if you need more of a stretch. And again, holding that stretch for 30 seconds, doing that 3 times on each side. So now we're going to go into some exercises. So we're going to lie back down. One of my favorite exercises for the hips, the knee, or the back, so this is a great kind of exercise for all of those, is bridging. Bridging is super easy, but it really gives you a good workout for all these muscles around the pelvis, again, the knees and the back. With bridging, you just want to prop up your legs, feet about knee and hip width apart. So you want everything to kind of be in alignment. The further out your feet are, the more your hamstrings are going to work. The more you come in, that'll take the hamstrings out a little bit. And that just matters because sometimes when people do bridging, they'll get a hamstring cramp. So if you haven't done these before, take your time. If you start to feel that cramp coming on, bring your heels towards you a little bit and that'll take it out, the hamstrings out of it just a little bit. With the bridging, you want to slowly roll up. I always like to say 1 segment at a time of your spine. You don't have to stop at each segment, but you really want to kind of roll up, really to make sure you're activating those muscles. So as I come up, I lift my bottom up first and then I roll up. So again, you don't have to stop at each spot, but then kind of rolling back down. That just makes you slow down and work it. If you're just going up and down, you're not really getting the exercise. You're just using momentum to get up and down. Also, I've had some people say sometimes, well, this hurts my neck. I'm getting a lot of pressure on my neck. If you're getting pressure on your neck, you're probably trying to force yourself up too much. See, when I really try and force myself up, I'm getting pressure on my neck. The pressure should really be at your shoulders when you roll up. So if you're coming up to here and here, that's where that pressure should be, and then rolling back down. So if you're getting pressure on your neck, just try modifying a little bit, maybe not coming up quite as high, because that might be what you're doing is you're just pushing up so hard, you're pushing down with your head instead of using your hip muscles to roll up. And then again, nice and slow, rolling back down. So the next one is going to be clamshell exercises. Clamshells are great for the gluteus medius muscle on the outside, and that has a lot to do with our hip function and the way we walk. A lot of times people will also say these are really easy, they don't feel like they're working, and it's probably because they're not quite doing it right. So you're going to bend your knees up, kind of propped up on each other. The feet are also stacked up on each other. And you want your feet to kind of be in alignment with the rest of your body. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's kind of what you want to do. The key with this is your hips should always be perpendicular to what you're lying on. So you don't want to roll your hips. If you start rolling your hips, then you're not getting the exercise and you're not going to feel it where you're supposed to feel it. So the bottom leg stays down, the feet stay together. You can roll them apart, but you're not picking up your feet for this one. So I'm just going to lift that top knee. If you need to keep your hand on the top part of your hip, that's fine. That will help you kind of know that you're not rolling and just bring it up. So see, my hand here is not moving. If I'm rolling back, then I'm not getting the exercise that I want. You should feel it right here. That top, the leg that's on top is where you should feel it. And I'm just coming up and then nice and slow coming back down. Make sure you're controlling it back down. Don't just come up and then come down because you're missing part of that exercise. Nice roll up, nice and slow back down. This is one where maybe the first 3 to 5 are pretty easy. People are like, I'm not really feeling anything. And then once you get past 5, you're really probably going to start feeling it right there. That's where you want to feel it, in the top or the outside part of the hip right there that's up on top. So then the next one is just going to be a hip flexor exercise or a straight leg raise. And so again, that's working that muscle that we just stretched earlier. I like to keep the side that I'm not working propped up. 1, that just takes some pressure off the back, and 2, that gives me a good target of where I want to lift my leg. The side that I'm working, I'm going to pull up my toes. That just kind of helps lock out my leg because you want to keep your leg as straight as you can. Try not to bend that knee. I know sometimes maybe it'll bend a little bit, but that's just sometimes a sign of some weakness in that leg. So really pull up those toes, try and lock out that leg, and then you're just going to slowly lift it up just to about level of the other side. So it's not, coming all the way up, because then people just kind of go fast and they're using momentum and you're not really using your muscles to lift that leg. So again, pulling those toes up nice and slow, just a little pause right here. and then slowly coming back down. Make sure you're not just letting gravity drop that leg back down. If you get doing these and you're doing a lot and they're easy, then try not to maybe come all the way back down. If you don't bring your leg all the way back down, that makes it a little bit harder because you have to keep that leg engaged and those muscles engaged the whole time. So that's a way to kind of progress as you get going. But making sure that you're not overdoing it, because sometimes these feel really easy and then you might be a little bit sore later. So doing less is better to start off with and then progress later. So there you have it. Those are my favorite stretches and exercises for hip pain. If you'd like to help support my channel by becoming a paid member, click on the join button or click on the link in the description below. And remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.